we have the earnings of Axis Bank that will come out later today. The expectation is that it will come out after the market hours, but let's just run you through what's expected from the Q3 results of Axis Bank. Now, net interest income, which is the difference between interest earned and interest expended, is expected to surge by about 8.6%. Now, that is on a year-on-year basis to 12,555 crore from 11,560 crore in the year ago period. Profit, that is expected to increase by about 4% to 6,114 crore from 5,853 crore in the year ago period. Net interest margin, now that is expected to contract by about 20 basis points to 3.9% from 4.1% in Q3 of FY23. But to discuss what's expected from the Q3 print of Axis Bank, let's also bring on board Mr. Mohit Gang, co-founder and CEO at Moneyfront. Good morning, Mohit. Thank you for joining us here at News 9. What's your expectations from Axis Bank? You know, so far the results from the large private banks have been good as far as the headline numbers are concerned. Asset quality has improved. But you know, there is of course concerns about margins shrinking with all, at least you know, the big private banks like Kotak, ICICI, HDFC Bank, to name a few. And do we expect a similar trend with Axis Bank as well?
Hi, morning Suyash. Always a pleasure to be on your show. So look, I think the results season so far has been very well in the line, except for I would say HDFC Bank, but ICICI Bank was quite a good result, and the stock is already showing signs of that in the morning trade today. I would assume that the Axis Bank would follow suit the trajectory of what ICICI and Kotak have done. My sense is they would give us a beat on the profit numbers, especially the PAT numbers, and overall on the revenue growth. Even the CASA margins should hold stable or slightly improve from what they have been showing. And I also think the slippages number, which has been a good show across all banks, will continue to be a good story for Axis Bank also. Along with that, I think the merger with the or merger, or let's say acquisition of Citibank should start showing up in the overall numbers of Axis Bank, and I would assume that the asset quality should improve because of that merger, and also the fee income should improve because of that merger. The only concern area which has been a trend across the private banks is the NIM compression, which we have seen, and I think for Axis we are expecting around 20 bips of compression, which you have also shown on your screen. I think that's also happening across the banks per se, because the deposit repricing has been a phenomena across the board owing to elevated interest rates, and I think that would likely continue for next quarter also. And post which we should see some stabilization on the NIM front and maybe some improvement thereof. But my sense is this is a trend across the banks. So overall, I think 20 bips of compression as well, market will take that happily. My sense is that.
All right. And you know, a lot of this credit growth, you know, that was coming from the unsecured lending. And as we know, RBI has in fact tightened the noose by increasing risk weight on such loans. Now, will that lead to some quarters of pressure on margins as well?
I think that's leading to the overall story of margins. Somewhere it is all factored in basically. So RBI has tightened the screws on many fronts. It's not just the unsecured lending part, also the provisioning for AIFs, which is happening across the banks, is also one of the things. And that number is also fairly significant,
Right.
which we saw in the case of Kotak also. Right. So I think RBI tightening the noose is a fairly good thing for the market from the overall health perspective of the banking system in the country. Because as markets continue to see a rapid bull rise, right, I think some areas and some sections will continue to develop froth. There could be unabashed lending to segments which hitherto are prone to defaults or are prone to not paying up on time. So my sense is RBI is doing the taking the right steps, and those things are reflecting on the banks' numbers. But I think it's all in good stead for the overall health and positivity of the entire sector put together. So I think results should give us a positive uptick, and Axis Bank has continued a good trajectory. If you see for last 3 odd months, it's actually outperformed the bank Nifty, and I would assume it will continue the trend going forward also.